Welcome back to the Quiet on Set podcast. I'm Young Graf, and joining me as always is Lachlan Teely.
On episode 228, it's Ewan's birthday. You think I'd forgot? Did you think I'd forgot? Because I hadn't said anything yet? You thought I forgot, didn't you? I was trying to hold off not saying it until the actual recording to get like your genuine reaction, and then you slipped something through just like about like 2 minutes ago before recording, and I was like, oh no, he probably thinks I've actually forgotten, but I'm trying to like make this a thing, but no, what?
The funny thing is, like coincidentally, I turn as old as the episode is. I'm 228.
Wow. God, that's incredible. You're
Ancient.
looking great for your age, my dude.
Thank you.
Must
Thank
be
you.
because you've been cryogenically frozen like the supreme leader of Disney. Megacorp Disney has just released its mega controversial live action remake, or maybe a better word in this instance would be adaptation of the 1937 film Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. The new one is called Disney's Snow White. It stars Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot. It's 109 minutes long of musical. Ewan and I saw it this week, and, well, we'd love to tell you all about it later on in this episode.
We'll get into that. I watched the latest Netflix hit series, Adolescence. That's all shot in like one take. I also watched The Residence. That's another show over on Netflix, a fun murder mystery. Severance has ended, season 2. I'll tell you about that in non-spoiler fashion because Lachlan's currently on episode 5 of season 1 still. We'll talk about was it worth the hype, and I saw Novocaine as well as Eden, and that's pretty much it. So let's cue up the intro and get into the show. We are professionals.
This is a professional podcast.
Yes.
Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. Hello there.
Which actually,
Did you
this
get
is gonna
me a
be
hat
a
as
bit,
well?
Yes.
So I've got Dooncam. It's just a camera with my Dune steelbook.
All right, if you missed last week's episode, welcome back, Lachlan. First of all, hello. Thank you for
Hello.
the birthday
Hello.
wishes. I'm actually
Happy
turning
birthday,
27, and I still
Mr. President.
I feel very old because it's like the thing is between the two of us, you know, the dynamic we got going. It's
Yep.
natural, even though there is a 1 second delay each time we talk to each other, unless we're in a French on the French coast at a film festival. Then we got that immediate thing. But we are born in a different millennia. So that is crazy. Close, but not that close.
Not that close.
By the way, if you missed last week's episode, we talked about it at the very end, so we'll do another reminder. This is the second to last episode before we are going on a bit of a hiatus. We ended up talking about it in detail for over, I think, 10 minutes at the end of last week's episode, so if you want to catch the reasons and for all of that and what's coming up, because it's not like we are stepping on a break and on a now I'm already in the animated mind of like Snow White, so I'm picturing stepping on a rake and someone being hit in the face in it. But we are full head on with a couple of changes that I think are for the betterment of the channel, and we're very much looking forward to it. In about 6 months time, the podcast will most likely make a glorious return.
I mean, we'll probably talk about it more next week, I reckon, like first up. Before we do whatever we're going to be doing next week, I think that I've kind of started writing a pre-prepared speech
Statement?
as to
Okay.
why a statement. Yeah, that's a better way of putting it. A statement from Quiet on Set to the audience. But yeah, you know, we're gonna go in a different direction with what we're doing on Quiet on Set. But that's fine. I mean, Disney went in a different direction for Snow White, and that went really well. Actually, I don't know how that's going to go.
So well.
We'll see.
But they are caught in the spider web of Mark Webb's directing for Snow White, because he's
Mr.
the
Webb.
one who did the Amazing Spider-Man movies, and now he's doing live-action remakes. Let's get into our review, which, by the way, it is Snow White, so we will be talking about it in full-on spoiler fashion. I think those who are not interested in actually spending money to go see this film, I think you won't care, and it's also, I know there are changes to the story, but it is still Snow White. It is still a fairy tale movie. Lachlan, what is, I guess, Snow White, this new version, all about?
Let me tell you this very different synopsis. A princess joins forces with 7 dwarves to liberate her kingdom from her cruel stepmother, the evil queen.
Well, that reads pretty
Which
similarly.
film was that taken from?
Well, it's also when we prepared for our double feature, which we'll get to at the very end of this review, of course, I typed in evil stepmother to see if like there's any other like fun movies.
Oh god.
And it was like 17 versions of like Cinderella and Snow White and
okay.
Sleeping Beauty. It was only that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I thought something else would have come up, but that's okay.
No.
Safe
Not
search
in
was
that way.
on. It's all
Yeah,
good. Safe search was on.
Definitely. Disney was looking over my shoulder. But no, I mean, so far it's been received pretty poorly. It's at a 2.5 last I checked over on Letterboxd. It's, still there on IMDb because there was a flood of, I guess, review bombing, maybe even love bombing on the other side of it. I don't even know. They turned off the ratings for now. I don't know if they'll turn them back on. And on Metacritic, it's a 47, so pretty universally across the board. I think this was a bit of a miss, and that seems to be the common through line when people are talking about it. For the reasons of it being a not so great movie, not all of the controversy that happened in the lead up of it. I don't know how much of that you like caught on and were listening to, because I
can't remember most of it.
The thing is, as soon as like I see a bunch of outcry for something that is it's so woke, it's like, I hate it. It's like I tune out of it because it's like, oh, stupid person being loud on the internet. So I don't even care. I don't want to engage with it.
Woke?
Because Snow White, because Snow White is supposed to be about like the fairness of her skin, and then it's like, oh, you cast someone who's like, it's that sort of racist shit. When like in the first scene of this movie, they just like give Snow White a different meaning, and I don't know if the actual 1937 version, I think she was also born while it was snowing. And I don't know if it was supposed to be talking about her skin and that. I don't know. That 1937 version, there's a lot of problems with it, as you'd expect maybe from a movie that's almost 90 years old. There's some problems in there.
Shocker.
Yeah, shocker. But it definitely didn't cost as much money. I think that's not one of the problems it's got. Look, how much do you think this movie cost to make?
I don't know. I'm just going to throw like 200 and something odd million in there.
No, yeah, pretty close to it. I mean, we got some, productions recently.
$240 million?
It is $240 million. The cost of a $300 million. A lot of that is front end because you're paying out all of your actors. I think there was also a bit of like a production issue with this film. At least production budget alone, $240 million. I think that's pretty standard for Disney nowadays. Like, I don't see them doing movies a lot that are under $200 million. But looking at the track record for other films that they've readapted, like The Lion King, which barely qualifies as live action anyways, it's not really. But then something like The Beauty and the Beast, right? Or the other Cinderella movie from 2015. They were all huge box office hits. Maybe that is still the case. We actually could very much need a movie that can break the huge box office slump that we're in currently. I think it's one of the worst since it ever was recorded. So not great to it. But Lachlan, a bit of a leading question. Do you think the $240 million are well spent?
I just want to point out the fact that Mufasa, The Lion King, made $717 million worldwide.
In the States. Oh, and worldwide. Because it made 1.6 billion, I think, overall. It's like in the top 12 or 13 of highest grossing movies of all time, if I'm not mistaken.
No, this is Mufasa.
Oh, Mufasa made 700. Oh, sorry, I thought you were talking.
Which is even wilder because that really didn't, like, Lion King live action remake, sure, again, live action in major, like, the fattest, biggest fucking quotations you could ever make in your entire life, live action remake. But Mufasa to be made on probably a similar budget to what this was being made on, to get $717 million is probably a good indication that this film is probably still going to make its money back for sure.
Yes. Yeah. The thing with Mufasa, though, sorry, really quick note to that. Mufasa was, I believe, at the end of the year leading into 2025, the leggiest movie of 2024. But it's like the how much it grossed at the start of it, but and then week after week, I think it just last week was out of the top 10 in the States. And it came out in like the middle of December or like on the 20th or something like that. So it's been in theaters for a long time, which is usually the case with like family-oriented films, that you get the next one and then it replaces it. And the hope would be that for Snow White, that would be the case after Mufasa's now out. So,
do I think it's well spent? What I will say is that obviously you've got to pay your performers, you've got to pay your crew, you've got to pay choreographers because there's a lot of dancing in this. There's a lot of stuff behind the scenes as it is a musical, so there's going to be a lot of training for many, many weeks, and are going to involve people that aren't even involved with principal shooting and secondary shooting, but mainly just pre-production work. So there's a lot of money that goes into not just films, but films that are going to have a lot of pre-production work with a lot of choreography and whatnot. So do I think it's well spent? I think it's probably reasonable for the size of this film, the amount of CG in this film, because there were at times where I did look at the dwarves and I went, they actually look not bad. Like, they don't, I mean, the Uncanny Valley thing, but like, they don't look terrible. I actually think they're well animated for the characters they are. I think the probably the more jarring one is the animals are quite out of place because they're a lot more realistic looking. But with the fantasy elements of the dwarves, it you know, looks a little bit odd. The one instance where I thought, hey, this doesn't look that great was when the bandits are interacting with the dwarves and they're all dancing around because there is someone who has dwarfism in the bandit group. And I was sitting there, I was just like, the entire film, I forgot about the controversy, and then I was watching it and I was like, oh, I remember the whole controversy of them not using people who have it as the actors. They decided to make them CG, and I'm sitting there, I'm just like, it would have worked. It would have been fine, but hey.
The thing is, those characters that I believe, I don't even know how much credence was to that, because there was a on-set photo where Rachel Zegler wasn't even in it, with like them walking, and that was used as the thing. Oh look, the seven dwarfs are changed to there's one little person in there, and then what was the outcry of the anti-woke thing was like, oh, it's diversity hires. And it's like, I can't really fault them for saying that, because it is pretty transparently what Disney is doing. The thing is, that's not, to me, that's not like a point of criticism towards, you know, a more diverse hire. It is how transparently a company is just doing it for like placating as like being progressive. And unfortunately, they end up not really knowing what to do with that bandit group. I think that is, to me, apart from Gal Gadot, the weakest part of this film is it's just them not really knowing what to do with these characters. And like one of them, for example, like having a pretty like big line at the end of it, and it's like, you look at that guy and he's got a whole moment, a hero moment to himself. I'm like, who are you again? Like, what is this moment now? It feels very oddly put together. And I think there was a lot of like, obviously a lot of behind the scenes issues. You know, Gal Gadot and Rachel Zegler don't really like each other that much with basically what they represent publicly in the Israel-Palestine conflict is very much like still here. I think since that like came up, they've been pretty, I guess both of them pretty professional about it. There seems to be a very much a ongoing sentiment that Gal Gadot is not a great actress, and obviously with you know, everything that is happening in the Middle East and Gaza and all of that, I think she's not really seen as you know, a great person at the moment for like some statements that she has made. And she just like, for example, she just recently this week got her Hollywood star of fame or whatever. And the comments, Jesus Christ, the comments are horrendous. Like, it's just like, I was like, for what? And I was like, damn. And then I'm looking at this movie and I'm like, I can't really fault them. I think she's really bad in this. Not that like she's given the best script. I think just naturally, or to me, like pretty superficially, still not to a great degree, Rachel Zegler just knows what to do with a musical script a bit more. She still feels like at a lot of moments I'm not really vibing with her acting, but that's been an ongoing issue for me with all of her roles. So I'm a bit of a Rachel Zegler hater. I'm sorry, not that I hate her, but like it just doesn't work for me when she's in a role, unfortunately. But Gal Gadot is like actively bad in this, where like I sometimes had to hide my face while watching because I was cringing so hard. So I don't know how you felt like watching the movie and the performances. Do you think they were fine, or?
I have no problems with them, honestly. Nothing against Gal Gadot, but there are many models who turned into actors, and I don't think that the transition was great. She's not the first and she won't be the last. I just don't think that she has the range. She has the visual appeal of a evil stepmother, but I just don't think that she ever got to a point where I was engaged with it at all.
And again, it doesn't help that like how one-noted that character is from the base like story, but it needs someone who can actually carry that a bit more, that like one-notedness, and it just doesn't. I mean, again, it's not an easy job. It's just like that. It's crazy how stiff and like there's nothing that I get out of her performance.
I don't overall enjoy Rachel Zegler either. I don't enjoy any of the performances in this. It goes the same with Jonathan. Andrew Burnup's character. I don't find him interesting. I don't find the only exciting characters were honestly the Seven Dwarfs, because they're the only ones that had a character arc. Characteristics that made them unique. Yeah. So they were the only interesting characters. The film itself, I don't think it was bad. Like, I know a lot of people are trashing on this film. Like, they're like, this is like bad. It just doesn't have, and it's the same with Electric State last week, it doesn't have anything going for it. Like, boring characters, boring story, and I think you said in your review that the best part about the original is the visuals. There's not much really going on here visually. It's a very boring film, but I don't think it's like atrocious. I don't think it's terrible. I just don't think there's anything exciting about it. I kind of just sat there eating my popcorn the entire time, just being like, okay, sure. Yeah. I'm not offended by it like I was with the Electric State, but it's fine, if that makes sense. All the performances are fine. The cinematography is fine. The music is fine. Like there's better musicals out there, but it's not the worst songs I've ever... I mean, Amelia Perez kind of made musicals like the standard of like what musical songs could be. But like everything about the film is like, everything is fine. It's just none of it's good. Yeah. None of it's great. None of it's even close to being good. It's just fine.
It is maybe aggressively fine in the way that it feels like it has ran through 20 different boardrooms of producers to say like, okay, we need an expanded origin story to give our heroine this inciting drive for leadership. And one of the things that I also talked about in my review is like, if you have such a clear opposition of pure evil, then the only thing you need is like a leader against like evil. And that's not really leading people. You're just like putting them against the obvious evil. And it's like, well, and the only thing they do to like stand up to it is basically just stand there in opposition to it. So I think this moment at the end wants to be very, obviously it's a fantasy, but very much like, well, let's resolve issues by talking it out. And then everyone decides, no, let's actually be good. And it's I don't know, something about it is just like, it's so bland, it's so boring. Like in the original, in the 1937 version, after she gives her the apple, she's like chased by the dwarves, and then she falls off a cliff and dies. It's like, damn, okay, give me that, give me something a bit more interesting. But then like that, because that moment is not about Snow White, and it's very much not that like that original movie is great, but it's not about like her standing up to this evil or like not being fooled, but it is about like her being saved by this prince. So it's like there's no actual storyline for that character. So you want to expand her side of it. So you do need that confrontation with the evil queen. When it would have been way more interesting to see why the evil queen is so like obsessed with it. And like I'm happy that we don't get like an explanation and a breakdown, and then it gets all jokey and it's non-serious. I think this movie stays pretty serious in that like confrontation with each other because she's so purely evil. But it just like there's no edges to it. There's nothing to grip onto. It's just really evil. She wants to destroy everything. She has no reason to it all. And then boom, conflict resolved. We all are dressed in white for some reason and dancing. It's like the ending is giving incredible cult vibes. It's crazy. I don't know how you felt, but it's like, dude, they look so
Everyone
weird.
Was in the same outfit, but it was white. Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of agreed to the same thing.
It's a bit weird.
Feel like Midsummer.
Yeah, someone's falling. And again, you know, the evil queen should have fallen the big rock and hit it and died. But sorry, I just spoiled Midsommar.
Yeah. I think that obviously the biggest change is the focus around Snow White. Like that is, it is ultimately like her... She is the independent soul of this film. She doesn't need help from nobody. She's helping everybody else.
Yeah.
That is different to the original. And that's okay. That's okay, especially because they were adapting the film. They're not remaking it, they're adapting.
Mhm.
That's why they dropped the Seven Dwarves. They play a big, important part of the film, but they're not the core elements to this film. The core element of this film is the story of Snow White and giving her a bit more of, I guess, a modern retelling. I would have loved better understanding as to why the evil queen is evil. You said that you're happy that doesn't really go into that, but I would have loved to have a reason as to why, other than just the opening backstory of just she
just arrives.
her dad's life and just swept him off his feet, yada yada yada. I would have loved a little bit more to it, because there's definitely some scenes where I got a little bit bored because of it, but hey, whatever. I think the film, I don't say this that often, I think the film could have been a touch longer if they had the elements of backstory, and it would have been fine. They definitely could have added like a couple minute scene just to give you a backstory as to why the evil queen is so evil, but you don't really get that. And whatever. I found the even the end of the film to be just like, what? Like it's just, I get it. My mum and dad told me to remember names, which comes up later on in the film than you think, and it's only brought up again at the end of the film, and that kind of gets everyone to stand up against the evil queen, which whatever, but like it doesn't feel satisfying.
I do the same
it's not
thing
a satisfying
when
ending.
I go to boycott Starbucks. I go into the different shops and then say the employee's name, and then they all rise up against Starbucks, and it's a better world for it. You know, it's how things are solved in the real world as well.
We only have like 2 Starbucks here in Perth, so I have no idea what Starbucks is actually like. I know that they're not great, but are they like the evil queen? Are they that bad?
No, it's just that they're very much known for breaking down union talks and just shutting down stores that even try to attempt it. But yeah, not that this needs to be close to like the funny thing to me is that, like, you know, in Brave New World, another Disney movie this year, there's basically no political intrigue in this political thriller. There's nothing. There was nothing to that other than like one guy turns really big and red because he's like he has anxiety and he's stressed out, basically. Like he's kind of pushed into that. There's nothing to the story of it being like a political thriller there as well. This to me felt more like the real life conflict that like Zegla and Godot had, about like one of them being the one holding on to power and the other one standing with the people who don't have the power, and let's just, you know, put that onto a conflict that is happening right now. So to me in itself is like I don't know, Disney must have panicked about that. I think there was definitely like a couple of boardroom meetings where they're like, wait, what story are we telling here? That to me was a bit funny, and it made it a bit more entertaining to see like those parallels. But anything, like, one of the core things about this is obviously the music, and they have a couple of new songs that they add. I think the Whistle While You Work is still like the most iconic song of Snow White, and it's the most fun one. I don't think the sequences when he said there's like a bunch of dancers, that's why obviously the budget had to be very high because we have a lot of background and all of that in there. I think it's just, I had the same issue with Wicked, and I know you really liked Wicked, is that all of it feels very contained in like on a set. Like I never believed that there was an actual world that we're living in, but we are on green screen sets, and yeah, I don't want that feeling. I want to be transported to the world, especially if it's fantasy, right? I don't want to think about my own reality during the whole runtime of a movie. But did you enjoy any of the songs? Like, did you have a highlight there?
No.
I mean, for me, it's the same.
No.
Man. It's. I don't think the songs are very good. I do think Rachel Zegler is a great singer, though. She's incredible.
Princess Problems was the only one where I think I felt like,
yeah.
Oh yeah, I can see a little bit of something happening here.
Well, that was the only thing that there was a bit of grip to that. It's like, well, the self-awareness is here.
That's what I liked. It was meta.
I did like that a bit.
It's funny.
It's also, it doesn't even need to, if it were less meta, I think it would have been even better. But then they don't really do any of that. It is very much meta to like, oh, look at the aristocracy, like the oligarchy, the fucking rich, right? That seem to be like, oh, I'm helping the people, when it's not really altruistic. It's like your pastime because you don't have any other issues, not the actual issues of like surviving. And they never really touch up on that again, because again, it's just she's up against evil, and there's no
so many
there's no
kinds of
actual
evil. They
confrontation.
just don't want to be very. It's a bit like the antagonists in Top Gun Maverick. It is like evil country. We don't know why they're evil. We don't know where
Gotta
they're
be Canada,
from.
and it was just like a bit in the future. Yeah, I think that was one of the options. It could have been like Canada, I think, and China, right? Or like what people like deduced to by the things we had about it. I was like, Canada makes no sense, and I was like, no, well, no. not that is like the unlikeliest. I don't think Snow White at the base of it is a great story, is even a good story at all. It is such a boring story that even in the first one, the only good thing about that animated movie was, especially the animals, I found really cute. I was happy to see the turtle make a return. I watched this one with a press colleague of mine, and the first thing he was is like, he said that like someone saw it before him, and he asked him, does the turtle make a reappearance? And the guy said, I don't remember. So when we were watching it and the turtle popped up on screen, I was like, oh, I was like, let's go. That's our Marvel moment. The turtle is back. That's about as much excitement as he got out of me for Snow White. But yeah, and then the dwarfs were like also not as interesting. I think they ended up focusing on Dopey a lot. And to me, what was funny is that Andrew Barth Feldman, who's also known for a lot of his like musical stuff that he does, ends up being the one who like in a role that basically doesn't talk until like one or two lines at the very end. To me, it was very funny to cast him for basically saying like two sentences. It is not obviously. I think he's singing along, I guess, for some of the songs, but I thought that like I don't, have you seen the original from 1937?
I have. I just haven't
It was a long time.
Watched it in so long.
Yeah. Like one of the highlights to me was like Bashful, who always turns red and then was hiding behind his beard and all that. And a lot of that is lost. I think also Doc is one. Was based off of a comedian that like stammers, and the same was for the guy who sneezes. They were back in the 30s, like two comedians that they then got on to do this. And I think they take that away with Doc, where he's basically now just he's the guy who knows big words and says them way too fast and you don't even understand, but he's getting to the point. And I don't like that type of, because it's become like a punchline, and I never found it funny because it's so constructed. And it's basically in pretty much every other blockbuster now. I assume you also don't like that, right? It's because I don't know, it's boring.
Does bore me too.
I think as much as I can stretch out of this, as much as Disney wants to stretch its properties. So, you want to give the rating for Disney Snow White?
I gave it 2 out of 10, which means I gave it like
1 out of 5.
Did I? Wait, no. I gave it. That's hang on. That's incorrect.
4 out of 10. Okay.
I gave it a 4 out of 10. I gave it a 2 out of 5.
Yeah, sorry, we're usually doing out of 5 ratings, but I just keep going back to the out of 10 rating because I kind of prefer it. I know. So I'll just say, instead of saying my out of 10 rating, Lachlan, I'll do this for you. It's a 1.5 out of 5.
A what?
So
I don't know. I don't understand your rating
1.5
system.
Stars.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, perfect.
And then as far as double features go, I had a struggle to come up with them. I don't know if you got one. So I'll put it on screen right now. But I found this compilation. Lachlan, you can maybe click on it as well to see what it is. This is a compilation of the original that I think is very much worth your time, more than the movie itself is. And yeah, just let's not forget the turtle from 1937. It's Matilda. Okay. Going with another musical.
1997, evil family, magic ability, Danny DeVito, which has no correlation, but I just love Danny DeVito. Matilda.
No, sounds good to me. Yeah, that's a good pick. Again, I really struggle to find anything, so I'm not even going with a movie here. The only thing I now am thinking about, okay, what's another color, and then the time of like year or maybe a season. And the only thing I can think about is like maybe a Red October. I think that's a movie, but yeah, I got nothing there. But with Snow White out of the way, we are looking ahead to I guess, the two other upcoming live action adaptations that are set to come out this year. Another one by Disney. That's the Lilo and Stitch one. I had a look at like the recent releases from Disney, and even the one that was like straight to Disney Plus or like all of that. And I rarely have a movie that is like a 6 out of 10 or higher. It has been incredibly bleak and depressing looking at like other than like it being a Pixar movie. And obviously they got, I think, Elio out this year. I think you are still a bit more optimistic about Lilo and Stitch. Obviously you need to see the film, but that could potentially be better. Is like because yeah, and I don't know. I think the music is fine in this that they wrote. It's very fine, but if it's just a story, then yeah, I don't know. And then How Did You Train Your Dragon also comes out. The same guy who did the animated one. So maybe that one has a bit of a higher ceiling. That's DreamWorks though, not Disney. But yeah. And then,
it's a live action adaptation of an animated film, so it counts. It counts.
Oh no, definitely. Yeah, no, it doesn't need to be a musical. I just also saw that like the Mark Webb's next movie stars like Johnny Depp, Penelope Cruz, and Madeline Klein, and it's called Day
That should be
Drinker.
Great.
So that's an interesting.
I remember about this one. Do you remember when it was like Johnny Depp's return to acting as a film about
day drinking,
an alcoholic? Yeah. Oh god, I can't wait.
Interesting.
This is more exciting than Snow White.
It's also because
Day Drinker is gonna. When's it scheduled?
I think for next year.
ETA. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's 2026. I don't think it has a release date, like a specific one set yet. I don't think if they're shooting.
It's got a writer attached to it. It's the same writer who did The Gorge.
Okay, well, there's gonna be some romance. The thing is, I think Madeline Klein is definitely playing like the daughter. But knowing Johnny Depp and like Amber Heard's track record, it's not like Madeline Klein and Amber Heard like look incredibly different. Obviously, there's no correlation there, but it's just it's just peculiar. It is a bit odd. But let's briefly talk about what we've been watching, or I think what would this section rather be called is what I've been
Ewan's
watching.
been watching.
Yeah, Lachlan, what were you up to? Did you get to like play a game, or were you busy all week?
I'll talk about games in the news because there is one thing I don't think I got to talk about it last week, but nothing. I've been busy with life, you know.
Yeah,
with life.
Mm-hmm. He's been living high on life.
I think I watched like 30 minutes of like because we had a like a stock take thing at work. So I was pretty late, and during my lunch break, I watched like the last 30 minutes of episode 4 of Severance of season 1. So
yeah,
that's why I'm like up to episode 5. Is just like I'm watching them in chunks, which is it's probably not the best way of doing it, but hey, streaming on demand, the way that cinema has always been intended to be consumed.
It is a bit meta to watch Severance at work. You know, it is an interesting choice.
It is an interesting one, and I always like I've been asking the question to colleagues, and everyone's like, "Yeah, I'd do it. I'd separate it. I'd separate my work and my personal life. I'd do it." So everyone's kind of on board.
I think the idea of it maybe isn't like the worst, but I think the implications that we get to see, I guess, in the series are like, well, probably, not the best idea. I was quite busy this week, and there were a bunch of press screenings for upcoming stuff. Like I saw Ron Howard's Eden, that basically is very impressive in the cast. Like you got Jude Law, Vanessa Kirby, Danielle Brühl, we got Sydney Sweeney, Ana de Armas, Felix Camara, who was like in the All Quiet on the Western Front movie. And the interesting thing about this, I think we looked at the trailer, Lachlan, is that I talked shit on Sydney Sweeney's accent work of like how she sounded British. And then while watching the movie, and this also like, oh, the whole thing is based on a true story of like a bunch of people on the Galapagos Islands and the conflict that ensued and like the deaths that occurred, the murder and all that. They're all German. They're supposed to be German. And the funny thing is, like, one of the actors is actually German. Well, not all of them are. I think Ana de Armas is obviously not playing a German person originally, but someone who like gets around a bit. But the rest are supposed to be, and it is jarring how odd they sound, because it's like they don't want to overdo the German accent, but then they also are like weirdly pronouncing certain things. And not that I'm like fine-tuned and want to nitpick it, it's just like it's odd. It's like obviously you want the biggest draw through your cast. And what you end up getting is, I think I have a similar issue with Ana de Armas and Gal Gadot, where I think both of them aren't really that great at acting. And it, like, a lot of it hinges on Ana de Armas' character being very over the top. Like, she's the instigator of all the chaos on this, the instigator. It just is off for the whole movie. It was a really cringy film. I gave that one a 4 out of 10. I don't think it has a release date in the States. I don't know. It's crazy. Ron Howard movie, but they're holding it back. And I think it came out last year in Toronto, and I think not a lot of people were talking about it. But I'd stay clear of it. I don't think it's worth it. And I'm also, like, I have a bit of a hot take when it comes to Ron Howard. I think his filmography has more misses than it has hits. I've seen a fair bit of it. I haven't seen all of it. And then the biggest one that we actually talked about before we started recording today is like Adolescence, a basically one-shot drama takes place in the UK when a 13-year-old child is accused of murdering a classmate of his, and each episode is taking is at a different stage. Like, the first episode is them being taken into the police and like raiding the house, arresting him. Like, one of them is following a bit more like the police people. One of them is like a psychologist coming in and talking to him. And the fourth one I won't spoil, but it's a bit more about the repercussions for the family as a whole. And it is very interesting because it's like, it's not really holding back on really some traumatic bits that it like tackles here. I think it has some really flashy presentation in the way that it doesn't cut, and it actually works a lot because for the most part, like, the acting is really on point. And what is impressive about the director, Philip Barantini, is that he also did another film with Stephen Graham called Boiling Point that does the same thing. That is like an actual like a one shot. And I think this series also had like each episode be an actual one shot as well. I think he's finding the niches where that kind of makes sense. But I think like most people have probably heard about this one. It's not an easy watch, but I also don't think it like goes like too deep into it. It is, from how hyped it is, I think it is a bit overhyped, but it's still a very like great show. Gave that one an 8 out of 10. I'd recommend you see it once you got a bit of time, but like probably wouldn't be like at the top of your favorite shows of the year, I'd assume, Lachlan.
It's on my watch list, but I think there's more stuff I want to watch beforehand.
Yeah. Which I think you have a great time with Novocaine. Comes out, I think, next week for you. It's been out for a bit in the States. Jack Wade as this guy who has a condition that he doesn't feel pain. And then when someone at work who is kind of fallen for, he takes it up himself to like rescue her. And I think what this movie doesn't really manage to do is manage the tone of like the lightheartedness of like the situations that he's put himself in, where the comedy is often like, huh? I have something in my back. I got stabbed. And he also is quite quippy in like the fighting scenes. That back and forth doesn't 100% work, but it's a very entertaining movie. I think this is like one where you don't think about anything. It's just a spectacle. And I think you would have a great time with it. I think it's pretty funny. Maybe less funny. You'd probably enjoy the action more than you do the humor. Yeah, it's probably going to be the same for most people. And then, dude, The Residence is a Netflix TV show that is, I think, 8 episodes. It just came out like literally yesterday on the time of recording. We record this on Fridays. And they dropped a whole show in typical Netflix fashion. It's about like Cornelia Cup, a detective who's like a consultant to come on to help sometimes help the like police force in some places. But in The Residence, a murder has occurred in the White House during a big banquet dinner with Australians. Because in this like scenario, the tension, like there's a bunch of tensions between the States and Australians. So there's a bunch of Australian characters in there as well. And the show is just a ton of fun. The way that it presents itself, it is also not like too heady in the way it does its deductions. You got a brilliant lead character who's like solving this murder mystery, and I was entertained from beginning to end. Now, it might not be something for everyone where they don't really vibe with the sort of presentation, because it's very flashy as well. There's a lot of cuts, there's a lot of like flashbacks to moment to remind you of things, and it does feel like it's representing the mind of the lead. It's clearly a comedy as well. And I just, it's like the time flew by. I really had a great time with the residents. I assume it will go a bit under the radar, but like each episode is also called like a different sort of movie title as well. It's pretty fun. It's not the greatest thing ever, but I just that is a good Netflix binge that I think you won't regret, and it's pretty entertaining. Yeah, I watched a couple of other things, but I don't think they're worth talking about other than Severance Season 2 Ending. I got to see it ahead of its release that is literally happening right now. It just came out an hour ago, and it is right now.
I'm so far behind.
It's again, I don't want to spoil anything that happens for Lachlan as well going into season 2, but I think that the series episode is a bit rushed, and again, I'm not 100% sold on it. It is it does feel like they set up a lot of these mystery boxes and stuff to uncover, and you're wondering, okay, when are we finally getting there? And I think this final episode is definitely getting there, but in some places it feels it's happening a bit too quickly as well. It's definitely like a finale episode of a season, and I prefer a whole show to feel like coherently on the same presentation and not episodes feeling like a high up and then a high down. And there was the one episode that was directed by the cinematographer that was incredibly like conceptually difficult to like pull off, and I think she nailed it. That was my favorite of the season. The last one was fine, but I'm not the biggest fan of it. So if you like Severance, I shouldn't be the like I guess the comparison to say if it's worth checking out. But it's still a very well made show, but I think we are still lacking that like A-level TV or S-tier TV that we have had with like, we've moved from Breaking Bad to Better Call Saul, and I think they've been up to the same level. We had Game of Thrones, then we had Succession up until recently. At least for me, that was like peak TV, and now we don't really have that. I know Industry is great. I haven't seen any of that, but yeah, I don't think Severance for me is filling that void. But yeah, that's all the stuff that I watched. Again, if you want to hear more of my thoughts on Letterboxd, there's a couple more films that I watched this week, but that's that. Lachlan, you wanted to talk to me about something in gaming news this week?
Well, I was going to bring it up at the end, but I can do it first if you want.
No, yeah, hit me. I've been talking so much.
Did you see that Death Stranding 2 trailer, or was it just me?
Was there a new one this week? I didn't see.
All I'm going to say is I'm seriously considering booking 2 days, 3 days, 4 days off work when this game comes out for me to play
the pre-order trailer? That one?
I am enormously... Is it 10 minutes long?
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever been more hyped for anything in recent years as I am for this game.
So is the thing about... Because I haven't played it. I know Kevin would be the better person to talk about this because he's recently also played it. Is the story the focus of like, does it feel like a really long movie? Is that the appeal?
Oh yeah. Kojima's a fucking...
I know he's a movie...
very big storyteller. He's a big movie nut. And he's a massively huge, big blockbustery style storyteller when it comes to his games.
Yeah.
And what I felt like with Death Stranding was it was a step back in his overall gameography, I guess, of his catalog of games, is that it felt the most simplistic, but it was also the most narratively dense one of them all, excluding like Metal Gear Solid 4, which is probably his like most cutscenes ever. But this looks like it's going to be just like wild. So yeah, I just wanted to bring it up because I'm so incredibly keen for this game. I think it's going to be my game of the year by far, easily by far my game of the year.
Wait, when does it comes out? It comes out in summer.
June.
So it's like, oh yeah, June for you, I guess, in the middle of winter because Southern Hemisphere.
Yeah, I am so keen, so keen.
I think the thing for me that kept me far away from the first one was that it was like memed to hell as like the walking simulator. And I think often those comments go far in the same vein. I also want to play The Last of Us too. Like I got like less than a month before.
Dude, you have like less than 2 weeks until it comes out. Like 3 weeks until it comes out.
I might even get the screeners this week, so like I might have like no time. I don't know if we're getting screeners, by the way. I haven't recorded. We sometimes, when it comes to Max, they just like, each week I'm like, here's a new White Lotus episode. It's like, oh, okay, I'll take it. I guess I'm doing something for an hour now. Dude, I also have quite a big backlog of movies, and that would be a big one. But what I wanted to say is like, often with like these experiences, like this feels like it's in the same vein. It's not really a blockbuster movie. It's definitely one of those ones that's like the 3-hour Oppenheimer film that you'd enjoy, and that in movies that might be something really off-putting to some. Oppenheimer maybe is the wrong, like the Killers of the Flower Moon, maybe more like a 3.5-hour long movie, and people are not really up for that, so they're just clowning on like, oh, Scorsese made long movie, ooh, isn't that bad, oh, I could never get through it. And the same way they were talking about like the Death Stranding film, and it's kind of poisoned me from ever giving it a chance. And I also don't own it just yet, but yeah, you definitely made it should up higher on my list to give it a try.
Never mind. I can't see my playtime of Death Stranding on my PlayStation.
By the way,
because I did
I've
play
meant
it
to
at launch.
I meant
Yeah,
to
go ahead.
ask you that on Steam. Does it show you the time you've played something on your Steam Deck as well? Does it just like normally add to it? Okay.
Yeah. I'm currently 42 hours into my Death Stranding Director's Cut playthrough on PC.
Damn. Okay. Yeah. I did get Red Dead 2 on PC because it was like at a massive discount.
That's great.
During Steam
That's
sale.
great.
So that was another one.
I was
Speaking of
is
this one.
Steam sale still on? I don't think it is, but I've been
No,
a
I
good
was-
boy
Yeah.
and
Didn't
I
get
didn't buy anything.
Yeah.
Trying to
House
buy a house.
is expensive. House is expensive.
Expensive.
Yeah. The only thing that
It's a good
I'll
boy.
be getting in the future, which is also House, is like all 8 seasons of Doctor House, and I think that is money well spent.
The only game I want to buy right now is Death Stranding 2, and
And it's out
I
in
still
June,
want to play
so
Black
good.
Myth Wukong, but it hasn't gone
Yeah.
on sale yet. And if it was on sale during the Steam sale, I would have bought it, but it wasn't. I don't know when that thing's going to go on sale, but yeah, it's the only other game that I really want to play.
There's not a summer sale, I think, upcoming in June or July. They usually have a couple, so maybe then. Also, the Split Fiction came out, and what to me was really funny about that is like basically taking a bunch, like the concept of that game is that stories are getting extracted from writers, and they're in the same bubble, so they go back and forth in the stories. But when you look at their stories, they're just like, they're also just copying off of other things. And it's really funny at the state that we are in, that basically, you could tell a Snow White like story or these other fantasy stories, especially in the ones that are, I guess, in public domain. But what is important is like the name brand of it more than the actual like quality of the film when it comes to like people checking it out. And it's just a dire state of people not going to theaters unless they are already familiar with the title. But yeah, I think Warner Brothers is a bit of in a dire situation because Mickey 17 cost them over $200 million. It's obviously not making the return that they hoped for. They just had Alto Knights come out, and it was only in the States right now. The 2 Robert De Niro's Barry Levinson movie. And I think that's like getting horrible reviews and probably bombing this week as well. So they are really relying on Superman to get them a Billy at least. But they also changed some release dates around. For example, Frankenstein from Maggie Gyllenhaal is moving to next year. And I think Kevin told me that he read some early, like there were rumors that the movie isn't really good. So that's tough. I think to me, maybe it is for a struggling Warner Brothers, it is definitely not a commercial film. I think that like that's probably more of an issue. Maybe it's also not good, but I don't see it making a ton of money. And then we got a tiny little teaser trailer for PTA's next movie with Leonardo DiCaprio. And that got a lot of people hyped. That one, I think, moved its release date to fall. I didn't see that it had an earlier release date. And then a movie called Weapons is coming out in August. A bunch of stuff like has shifted around. Are you concerned for Warner Brothers, or you think they'll like at the end of the year have like a green?
They'll be fine. They'll do a write-off section at the end of the year, and they'll just
Well, did you see
write
that
off a whole bunch of
Coyote
stuff.
versus Acme got acquired by or is like getting acquired, so it's actually coming out still. Yeah, they
Really?
shelved it and someone else bought it, so it
That's
might be coming out.
interesting.
Yeah.
What about Batgirl? I
was about to
read
say,
an article.
No,
Hang on. I read an article
that's
that's leaked. I might be wrong.
Yeah.
Let me just double check that. Batgirl.
I think they tried to.
footage.
They
I think someone
tried
leaked it
to.
online.
Yeah, I think there was something about that, but I think
Unedited Batgirl movie fight scene pulled offline just hours after it leaked on social media.
Exactly, they got it back offline. They do have a not
it will
like too
exist.
shabby release date schedule. Like they got the Minecraft movie is Warner Brothers. I didn't know that was Warner Brothers. But they also got like Sinners. They got Final Destination Bloodlines. They're working together with Apple for the theatrical release of F1. You got Superman, Weapons, Conjuring, The Last Rites. Then Paul Thomas Anderson with One Battle After Another. Animal Friends, Mortal Kombat 2, and then 2 more movies that are like event films set for a November and December release date. Yeah, they moved The Bride to March 6th. And then they got a bunch of stuff that is untitled, yet to be set for 2026. But they don't have a Dune 3, you know, that sort of Dune release this year.
That's in pre-production, so...
Exactly. I think they're aiming for a, December release next year. We'll see.
I mean, out of that list of 2025 films, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, fuck it, I'll say 5, 6, 7 films that I'm actually quite keen for.
Look, if we compare Disney
I'm saying
with
keen
Warner
lightly
Brothers,
for a Minecraft movie. I'm saying that lightly, but like I'm keen for a lot of these films.
you'll be sat on your 1 by 1 meter high grass block, and you'll enjoy it. And
I love it.
Yeah, no, it's got to be fun, even if it's really bad. And then obviously, my most anticipated movie of the year is Final Destination Bloodlines, even if it's the most horrendous film ever.
So I don't care. Wait for that fucking thing.
Ah, dude, and it's coming on May 16th, so it's like right before I hopefully, fingers crossed, go to Gun. Yeah. By the way, I'm still waiting to get a response there. I did already book a place with someone else, but if I can't go, then I guess someone else will hopefully take my place. I haven't paid anything for it yet. Someone else did, so that's a nice. I just really hope that we get in, because we're going for the first time without like a bigger company like behind us sending us there. So
Independence.
really hoping that pans out. And then speaking of like sequels and announcements, Coco 2 is apparently in production or going into production, and it's set to release in 2029. I think Coco was great. It's famously the one Pixar film that you haven't seen. There's always, when we did like the infamous Pixar bracket for like our episode 100, which is crazy. It's been so long since then. But yeah, you still haven't seen it, I think. Right? Oh no, wait. Did we at one point? Did you say that you have seen it now? No.
Coco. No, I've seen it.
Oh, you've seen it now?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not going crazy. Okay, that's good. Well, I might be going crazy. Isn't like famously a lot of like famous, not famous, but a lot of people die when they turn 27. Isn't that like the year where a ton of people die?
Jesus, that's terrifying to think
I'll
about.
make it.
How about we talking about something a lot happier? I think that's a better idea.
Yeah, no. What do you want to talk about? The Oscars?
Why not? Conan O'Brien will be making a return next year at the 2026 Oscars. He has been, I guess, let's just say it, cast as the host once more. I think that's a testament to his hosting skills this year. I think that, he was honestly one of the best hosts they've had in many, many, many moons. So that's exciting to see. Also, Starship Troopers is having a remake done from Neil Blomkamp at Sony, which means they are doing not only a Starship Troopers reboot, but they're also doing a Helldivers 2 movie adaptation. So they're doing 2 films with the same sort of style, because Helldivers 2 very much has the same humor that Starship Troopers does, but I'm pretty sure I read as well that Starship Troopers will be more about more of an adaptation of the actual original, I think it's novel that they base it off of, instead of like the funny film that they ended up having originally. So yeah, I'm super excited to hear that come about. I like Neil Blomkamp. He's actually solidly good at a lot of his stuff. Even his shorts are fantastic as well. The ones that he's got from like Oat Studios or whatever it's called. Especially
like he's one who has a grip on sci-fi in a way that he keeps the worlds contained in a way that they're very believable. And you'd need that for either. Or maybe we'll have like in the same year or like not too far apart, we'll have like a Bugs Life and an Ants situation where like two similar movies are coming out. It would be pretty funny. Again, I think it was a big week for news. There's some trailers that came out as well. Again, we're keeping it light on news. And I think someone commented, shout out to Jeremy, on our statement last week, because I think we do have a couple people who tune in every week, but like I consume my stuff. I'm a lurker. Like I don't type in the comments each week. It's not something that you naturally kind of do. You either are a person who does that or you're not that you're enjoying anything like any less or more. But I forgot my point that I was trying to make. I know he also asked about like if news is gone, the Movie News Mondays live streams that I did. And yes, for now they are, because I think we talked about that last week as well. But I do like to stay on top of it. The one reason I also wanted to stop them is I need to have enough time to like actually read through all of the articles instead of just like skimming the headline, because then I'm just like rereading something that you could be reading instead. So I'm not adding any like value on my insight, which it still has value of like, I guess, adding everything together and presenting to you in a neat package. I like the thing that I made there. It just was a ton of work, and we're gonna be focusing for the time being on other things. But I think the plan is to do maybe a couple of shorts, like stuff that interests us. We'll still have it up on the channel. But yeah, there's a couple. I think it's not a big week when it comes to releases this week. There's a couple of smaller things in limited release. There's a Apple TV Plus show that maybe I'd shout out. I did watch the entirety of The Studio, although I think I'm not allowed to talk about most of them because it's 10 episodes, half an hour each. Seth Rogen is a newly crowned studio head of like a fictional, it's almost like Paramount, the most equivalent there, studio. And it's basically about the movie production, a lot of like that sort of industry in jokes, as appearances from Ron Howard, Martin Scorsese, Anthony Mackie, like a bunch of like playing themselves in this. I think the comedy is like on an okayish level the whole time. It never got like huge laughs out of me. A couple of like really failed attempts at comedy as well. It was all okay. It's unfortunately like a very like background entertainment level type show for most of it. But it's decent. So that's coming out this week. Then I did an interview with the director of Julie Keeps Quiet, a Belgian film that Kevin already caught like last year, and I just recently caught up with it. Gave that one, by the way, an 8.5, 9 out of 10. I really enjoyed that film. It's about like a kid at a tennis camp whose trainer is accused of some wrongdoings, and people are asked to like speak up or talk about it or process it, and she's basically internally processing it by not really talking. It's a movie without a score, without much of like a like big punchy editing or anything. It's very much like a somber, slow look at the process of this, and I think it was really great. And I also have an interview that should be up on the channel later this week. Another shout out from last year from Gun Holy Cow, also known as Vingt Dieu, is coming out in limited release in the States and on the 17th of April in Switzerland. And I very much can recommend that. It's like a coming of age sort of survival story when a guy's like orphan, has to take care of his little sister, and in a roundabout way is learning how to make cheese. And so to make money. It's a very funny movie. I had a great time with it. And then Novocaine is coming out in Switzerland this week, and I had a pretty good time with it. So I'd recommend you go see that. But yeah, Lachlan, what about you?
Coming out in Australia, we've got Jason Statham's A Working Man, and we also have an animated film, Looney Tunes: The Day the Earth Blew Up, coming out in our cinemas down under. Yeah,
I've heard about that one not doing too hard at the box office, unfortunately. I think it came in number 5 or 4 in like its release week, and I think also Warner Brothers just deleted all of the Looney Tunes stuff off Max, so it's a bit of a dire time when it comes to Looney Tunes. But hey, Coyote vs. Acme just, I guess, maybe is giving it a bit of life now that that's been hopefully acquired and is coming out somewhere. But I'd love to see that one as well, but neither of these films are coming out for me this week. So it has TBD what we'll actually be doing for our last episode next week. If you got any ideas of what we could do, we got a couple, but if you got any, let us know in the comments below. And yeah, again, much appreciate the people sticking around, especially if you listen to the very end. A real one for that. Any other parting words or or anything else that we should talk about?
It's a shame that we're not going to be doing the Minecraft movie on the podcast.
Oh my god, it is a shame. It is a shame.
It's a bit of a shame.
I think that would have been a huge one to discuss, but I guess a lot of that will still be shout out to our Discord, because I think a lot of our discussions maybe we'll have over text there when we do have like the singular reviews coming out. I think you'll be doing the Minecraft review most likely for us on the channel, but we'll still be talking about it. So join if you want to have a conversation with us and other people in our community. With that, I think that's the perfect place to end it, because you are in our Discord now, as this is still playing on your monitor behind. If you got YouTube Premium, it's still playing while you are in Discord on your phone. That's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah. But we will see you next week for the last time, I guess, in this podcast form for a while. Yeah, we'll see you then.
Bye.
Bye. Just as awkward as ever. The outro.